This video is powered by LearnToPlay.live, the only hardware synth performance course. Register now and enjoy 40% off. Hey, what's up? I'm in Hello Kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe and hit that notification bell. Whenever I upload a new video, you'll be kept in the loop and you'll not miss out on anything. Do stick around till the end of this video. I will tell you all about LearnToPlay.live. It's the only hardware synth performance course where we teach you how to perform live. We do that with a lot of teachers and with a lot of cool talent, upcoming talent, as well as seasoned veterans, so you'll be in great hands. I will tell you all about it towards the end of this video. I have thought to go back to basics as I've been traveling around with my modular over the last weeks, and obviously a lot of people liked it and a lot of people really don't like it. I mean, they think it's too complicated or too expensive or whatever, so I did really see it reflect on the channel. Anyway, let's go back to basics and let's do something that I know I can teach you very well. Meaning bass lines. Now, when I talk bass lines, I will talk about the Mini Tower right here. The Mini Tower is one of the most iconic synthesizers in my honest, humble opinion, because yeah, it's just one of them. Let me just get the camera a little bit more. The Mini Tower is just like a very cool and easy to use synthesizer, and it does the trick and it sounds like a brick wall. Bass, Mini Tower, for me, always. I will probably take this thing to the netherworld if my time has come. Yes, and then there is the 606 sitting on the desk right here. Now, you might debate, whatever the hell happened here, Lucien? Well, okay, there was a time in my life where I smoked, and not always cigarettes, so these are battle scars. It's only cosmetics because it still does the trick. And to complete the task here, there is a 008 by Retrokid that is going to record the MIDI of the bass lines that I have, obviously. And then there's a multi-clock because I wanted to control the 606 that's getting a densing signal from the multi-clock sitting right here on 132 BPM. The Mini Tower is connected to the Space Echo RE20, so we got a little bit of a reverb and delay if we need it. And of course, there is a Mini Lab 3 on which I will play the bass lines. Now, the first bass line that I'm going to talk to you about is the call and response bass line. Now, why do I call it the call and response bass line? It's because within the 1, 2, 3, 4, on the 1 and 2, it does something and it answers itself, which means you create a revolving sort of hamster wheel type style, groove or pattern, which is very important. Now, all the bass lines I'm going to play today, except for the last one, are all percussive bass lines. So if you are making a very slimmed down sort of track, read something else. If you don't have a lot of equipment, same thing, and you want to make do with maybe 2 boxes, a drum machine, and only a bass line, this should do the trick. Now, I've got a drum beat playing that plays here on my 606. And if I go to my cymbal that I'm not using, you see there are certain things that I have already programmed. This is where the bass line is going to be. So, essentially is, let's lower it. Now, why is it call and response? The first half, bam bam, till here, is setting itself up and then it answers itself. So the first 2 notes are on the beat, 1 and 2, bam bam. Everything's like bam. Simple, right? But when you get to the second half of the bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, it turns around. It doesn't really play on the beat anymore. It starts to play before the beat. Bam 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 bam. Let's record it in. Nice. Okay. Now what you can also do with this bass line is you can have it answer itself even. Give it an upbeat towards the end of the bar. So I played everything very simple on 1 note. So I'm gonna take it out and record. I'm gonna add this note in, right? It's 2 bars actually that I've got on the RK008. So I can add something every second bar. 1, 2, 2 to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's do that. So we got that towards the end, right? And let's look a little bit at sound design here. Now there's nothing happening. Oscillator 1 open, oscillator 2 open, so it's fully, and then oscillator 2 is completely pitched up. I can make it lower. I got one of the two oscillators engaged, right? So, one square, one saw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of an envelope on it so that it gives you a little bit more percussion. You can hear that my highs are doing, so there's a groove already. There's also toms that are playing. So I'm trying to have my bass line accompany what the toms are doing. That's very important. It needs to do pretty much the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, can I add a little bit more reso on there? So here, let's zoom in. Resonance. And then the envelope generation amount is where it's going to start to shine. Make it a little bit longer, so the attack is completely down. Now the decay and release, we're gonna stick that on 11 o'clock. And now listen to this. Let's add in a little bit of reverb. Nice. Yep, I'm really enjoying it. So now it does something really groovy. And the more you get that little bit of a sharp attack, I'm exaggerating it right now so you can hear it. I don't really like that whistly type vibe, but you understand what I've done. This is just bass. And the envelope generation amount, when it's negative, obviously it's going to ramp up. When you get it into the plus, it's going to ramp down. If you open up the resonance, you will lose a little bit of low end, so keep that in mind. So we're going to lower our cutoff frequency. Take a little bit of the high out of the space echo, so that the reverb is not too bright, because we're still doing bass and we're not in the 80s right now, so we're trying to keep it nice and concise. All right? This is bassline number 1, the call and response bassline. This is what I called the 3-note accent bass. It's a 3-note accent bass because I'm only using 3 notes and I'm using an accent, hence the name, the 3-note accent bass. Again, a different pattern. Let's listen to what kind of drums we have. So again, hypnotic stuff going from the toms that are playing on the 606, and we like to complement something on the bass. Now, as a rule of thumb, if you've got busy beats, keep your bass line a little bit more simplified, because you don't want this to now overpower whatever is happening, because you will just overproduce. So what I'm going to look at is, of course, at my cymbal, because I've already programmed the bass in. So pam 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 padam pam 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 padam. Okay, that's nice. Let's see if we can. So I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to start simple. Pam 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 pam. But there's an extra note that we will add, right? Okay, nice. Pam, pam, pam. Yeah, nice bass line. That's what I like. Let's add in that extra note. Pam, 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 padam. Thank the Lord for quantize, because I was very offbeat. Take this out of record, and then look at my bass sound again. I'm going to put a little bit of LFO on the bass to give it a little bit of a movement. Moderately length, because I don't want to make it too long, because it needs to play it around with these toms that I've got here, these ones. So again, so we have to find a middle ground here. So, a little bit of release in the middle, sustains all the way down, filter again, filter envelope, it's up, in the middle, attack all the way down, and now we play around with the envelope generation amount to hear where the attack lies. Put a little bit of that LFO on there so that it plays around with the envelope generation amount. This is nice to put a little bit delay on. Nice. Can we add in that right cymbal? Because it plays the same thing. Let's listen. And even if you turn it down way low and add in a little bit of the reso here, it starts to become one. Take the cymbal out. I will go to the open head on the one because it's bugging me. Take it out. And where the first bass line that we just had started on the first notes, you can see here, going to the cymbal, that I deliberately left out the first note so that everything starts on the afterbeat. Listen to this. Lower my toms a little bit. And really get grooving. The thing is, I've shuffled this also. I know there's shuffle on the RK008, so if I'm going to go in and look at this, I say quantize. Nope, I will go to my quantize page, and then I'll go swing. There's no swing here. Let's turn it off a little bit. Put it on 54%, and I can. This is the nice thing of the multi-clock. The 606 obviously doesn't swing, but it does now. So if you really want to go for that minus kind of minimal techno sound that Rich Houghton and them lot are doing, this is how you get there. Now I never use that much swing on anything, but obviously it works, you know? Put some swing on the bass in the RK008, and yeah, it sounds sexy. And then you can play around with the height of the notes for one oscillator. So if you want to take out the toms, for instance, and have the bass line take care of the low end frequency, you lower the toms. This will really shake the room. Do you see that I'm very moderate with the reverb and it's a little bit of delay. Let's put some reverb on there. So I'm trying to make room. This is also very important. From the minute I'm starting to really put low end on the mini tower, I will have to take care that the toms are not in the way. So it's hierarchy all the time. So if I'm going to still raise the oscillator, This is picking a fight, you know. I'm not scared of you. Let's go. 4:30, back at the school. Boogie behind the dumpster, let's go. That kind of bass line. But we can go into Reese territory, which is a bass line we're going to look at in a second. Nice. But I'm gonna even go higher. And now it becomes a little bit more something that's feeding my reverb. Do you hear the high notes feeding the verb? Okay, now that I've got that sitting there, I think the beat is empty. Not empty, but let's add in those toms again, here. Now again, if I'm thinking of how much would I like to hear, and I don't know anything about frequencies or anything, I am thinking, okay, the bass drum gives me this nice letter D attack. Duh, 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 duh. I'm also aiming for that same sort of like vibe of the toms, but not as loud. So kick, dominant, then the toms over there, and then the bass line should resemble somewhere in between where the tom and the kick is actually. So, and this is done with the envelope generation amount, obviously. The LFO was slowly going up and down. So keep in mind of that letter D that I'm talking about, the letter D. Which is easier to hear if I take off all the reverb and delay. Try to make small packages. If you know anything about compression, this is how you get that compressed type sound. If you got a cool compressor, you compress a sound, it sits within its own sort of like universe, and that's what you would want for a bass line like this. So for bass line number 3, I've got this old school house sort of groove going. So I'm only going to use these 3 notes. These 3 notes, bum, bum, bum. I'm going to go to my cymbal because I know for a fact that I've played it already. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, nice. That means again. Nice. Yeah, I'm liking this. So very simple. Ooh, liking that. Again, hypnotizing. Let's look at the bass line in a second. See what we do with the snare. Nice, cool. So again, the bass line needs to be simple because I'm already doing a lot of stuff with the drums. Play the right cymbal. So that emphasizes what I'm doing right here. How minimalistic can you get it? You know what I mean? It's very simple. Cool. Let's look at the sound here. negative ramp up. Make it a little bit more dark. Cool. Reverb. Bass. Nice. Ooh, I'm liking that. Right cymbal. Ooh. Play around with one of the oscillators. Let's see how that works. Nice. Let's play the bass line solo. I'm using a little bit of that vibe. Can even play around with the glide. So now it's, let's exaggerate it. It basically takes a while before it gets to the next pitch. So see, now I'm getting there faster, and now it takes a while to ramp up. So that's also something that I can do. Don't need it for this though. And I'm going to stick it here, around 320 hertz. I think I'm going to leave the resonance down all the way, and I'm playing around with the envelope generation amount. But I don't want to get that sort of like letter D in too much, because it needs to really sit neatly with my beat. And here again, levels. So the snare, because there's accents obviously, I've played my accents on 1, 2, 3 and 4, but also if there's a snare hitting that, because there's a snare drum, that is also bam, bam, ba-dam, bam. It's going to be louder than all the other snares. So. Nice. I need the top end of the snare drum, so if I can listen to the snare, and if I can chop it in half, there's a low body type frequency on the snare, and there is something of a high, sort of like high frequency, and that's the bit I would like to have shine through. Because if I'm doing this, it's drowning out the toms a little bit. It's taking too much attention because it's very sharp and in your face. So we like this. Cool. All right. Right cymbal in there. Bada bam bam, bada bam bam. Right cymbal. Bam 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 bam. If there's time, I can do a cheat sheet of where my patterns are. If that's something you might be interested in, let me know in the comment section. Okay, this is baseline number 3. Of course, when you work with the Minitar and you work with the TR-606, why not make electric boogie? Obviously, we have to do it. So there is another bass line that I really, really like that is going to be the electro bass line. Yeah, so how does the beat sound? Okay. Let's get a sound going. Okay, you can feel where this is going, right? Okay, electro or electric boogie. Okay, ready, 2, 3, and. Woo! Nice one. Okay. And meanwhile, I've got this thing on shuffle all the time. So if I'm taking it out of shuffle, let's mute the bass line. Here, tap, 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 tap. Now listen to what happens when I shuffle that thing up. Here we go. Tap, 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 tap. Bass line in, 2, 3. Now obviously we can do with a little of that rezo. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a nice thing to do with a bass line like this is to see if you can create counters. Nice, so you get to add a little bit in. For something like this, obviously the bass line does not need to be too long. And because now we're in the 80s, now we can do with a lot of reverb and a lot of high end on the verb as well. Nice. You need a little bit of the high end. Nice. Liking that. You hear it? How that right? Bam, 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 bam. And I've stuck the accent, so the emphasis of bam, 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 badam, bam. Let's add a little bit more bass drum in. Bam, badam, bam. Take out my bass line. Did I not play any toms in there? No, I did not. Whoa, okay. Maybe I should. Cool, low tom. Bass line back in, here we go. Nice, ride cymbal. Last bass line today, of course, it's the Detuned Reese Hoover bass. I mean, if you make electronic music, you cannot do without a Reese Hoover bass, can you? So, okay, let's try that out. What's the beat? So pretty simple beat. And the beat needs to be also hypnotizing. So that's what it does. Of course, there's a nervous snare that plays. So now you know you're going to play long bass notes. Again, 3 notes, almost only. That's what I'm going to play. Record it in. 2, 3, and. It doesn't sound like a Reese bass, Lucian. What are you talking about? I know, it does not sound like a Reese bass at all. So how this works is that I'm going to detune. It's 2 oscillators, well, basically. So it's 1 oscillator here. Let's make that into a square. And the first one is going to be a sol, right? And then we'll blend them together. 1 is high, 1 is low. So oscillator 2 is low, and we can pitch it. So what we're going to do is obviously look at blending the 2 together, and they need to be the same pitch. So this needs to be higher, obviously, because this one is lower, as you can hear. So in the middle, 12 o'clock, they'll be the same pitch. You can hear it, albeit different waveforms. Now they're the same. So the second one is a square. Now listen to what's going to happen. I'm going to detune the second oscillator. And it's a little bit on the high side, so I'm going to lower the bass line here. So I'm going to go in to the RK008. We'll go, let's say, transpose. Let's go by 7 semitones. There you go. You see that the beating occurs differently. The beating of the frequencies now is different. If I'm going up, you hear because of course now that it goes faster, that the cycles are shorter, the beating of the 2 clashing oscillators is going to occur faster, and you would like it to go a little bit slower. So you hear and this would be, oh my heavens, my fillings are falling out of my mouth. So you need to be just a little bit off. It could be lower. I like to go with my pitchable oscillator a little slightly lower than the original one. So the second oscillator is slightly lower than the first one, but you can also do it on the other side, which gives a little bit of more of a nervous feel. You hear the beating? Obviously. So that wavy motion. Liking it. And with the minitar being the way it is, you can play around with having it a little bit Reese type style, or just warehouse type style. Warehouse craziness. Put a lot of reverb on there. See how this pans out? And then the envelope generation amount, I'm really not trying to put that in because otherwise the notes are going to have an attack all the time. You hear that? Well. If that's what you like, then you can do it. But obviously what I would like my notes to just be straight. Because I'm not so much focusing on the bass line. I am, but I'm focusing on the drums. That's the thing. Focusing on the drums with the snare. And the cymbal. Go to that cymbal, take it out. That's what I like about the 606. Very hands-on, play something in. Bam, bam, kadam, dam, 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 kadam, dam, 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 dam. Kick out, kick in. So you actually see that with only 2 boxes, a lot is possible. 2 boxes, 3. You know, the RK008 for the MIDI, but obviously there are so many different configurations, but you don't have to fill your room with a lot of stuff or buy a lot of modules or whatever. Actually, it's possible to do stuff really slimmed down. And that is how I think I showed you today that, you know, the most effective dance tracks are the ones with not too much information. And even though I say it, I overproduce sometimes because it always happens. It happens to the best of us. In the end of the day, this is what I do think. If you want to know how you should really approach working with not too much gear and how to align it in such a way that you understand the hierarchy of frequencies, the layering, what needs to come in, how to arrange your stuff. I mean, it's a lot, you know. And in the end of the day, you also need to be a social media wizard. You need to be an arranger. You need to be a composer. I mean, there's so many different things you need to do. You're going to end up spending a lot of time. You have to put in the work. That's just the way it works. Then again though, wouldn't it be cool if you had some folks to help you out? And that is why Learn to Play Live exists. In this day and age of marketed talent and, you know, people just really surfacing, I'm not here to debate whether that's a cool thing, yes or no, but I do believe that there's a need for authenticity. It's a need to understand what it is that you're doing, because with all the falling out of a tree being famous, it really doesn't create longevity. If you want to do this as a career and you would like to just like be in a game for maybe 30, 40 years from now, I think you need to understand that you have to read the book, chapter 1 and then chapter 2, not just like go into the climax and just like how does it work, because it's going to catch up sooner or later. What's done in the dark comes out in the light. So we have created learntoplay.live, currently at 40% off even. So that's where we teach you the inner workings, the fabric of being up on stage as an artist, what to think of, what to listen for, what to look at, how to interpret certain things, what to do if stuff goes right, what to do if stuff goes wrong, how to handle stuff if it goes right, how to handle stuff if it goes wrong. All these different things that I have experienced within my vast time of walking around in this nightlife business. I've all condensed it into this learntoplay.live course. Not only me, because I do believe that I know a lot, but I know there's a lot of smarter people than me out there that can also help out. So I really teamed up with a lot of people. I mean, we spoke to Erica Sims, we spoke to Morph Modular, we spoke to Mo, we spoke to everyone. Literally, everyone really loves the fact that we're doing this. And it's new. So, yes, of course, a lot of people are just like checking out like what is it going to be. Well, we've not reinvented the wheel here. We are going to go in depth into stuff that most people heard about, but a lot of people, you know, they know about 70 or 80% of certain things, but nobody really masters everything. And I do believe it's very important to at least know more. If you want to get further, you need to know more. If you want to make $1 million, you need to solve a problem that 1 million people have, right? If you want to play to 1,000 people, you know, they need to understand what it is, why they want to see you, what is your value, what makes you unique? What's your unique selling point? And a lot of people know how to promote themselves, but they don't know what it is that they are promoting. You know, everybody wants to do something that somebody else already did because it's the easiest way and it's the fastest way to success. But is that going to create longevity though? That's the question. And we do believe that those are valid questions, and the insecurity that a lot of my students have when they turn up after 5-6 years of just like plodding and mind you, some of them are very, very famous even. They still run into a brick wall because there was one topic or one chapter that they just didn't read or didn't understand at the time. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Don't look any further. Your search is over. Learn to Play Live is that one-stop shop because I really put all that I know in my vast years of walking in this nightlife business. I've put everything into it because I do believe there's strength in numbers, and it's not cool to have more questions than answers. I've walked around a long time with having too many questions, and it's just not cool. And I didn't really enjoy. It was cool. I enjoyed some of it, but not all of it. And I think that once you're in this industry, you want to enjoy what you're doing, right? So we're going to help you out. There's a lot of people. Do check out learntoplay.live. Everything is on there. We start the end of September, meaning this is what I've concocted right now. The Amsterdam Dance Event obviously is in October, 3rd week. So we're going to do some master classes running up to the Amsterdam Dance Event. That's where we do a nice meetup, so you can actually just like talk, see, feel, and meet the people involved. There's going to be a jam. Bring your gear and you know, place it on a table, and we'll just like, you know, do what we love. Because that's the whole point. We just do what we love. And then that starts maybe at 3 in the afternoon. That's at Akhenaton in Amsterdam. That's on a Wednesday. So before everybody's wasted and dead, we are going to just like open up ADE with something like that. And then in the nighttime, we are teaming up with the talent of Raw Industries. We did a gig with them, a sold out gig in Berlin over at Super Booth. So we're going to do that again. So it looks like a perfect storm. A lot of patrons are coming. That's interesting. So a lot of my community are going to be there. A lot of students are going to be there. Teachers are going to be there. And you know what else? You can see that I'm excited because this is something really, really cool. So if you want to just join, bring your gear during the day. If there's place, if there's room, we'll just throw it up on the desk and we'll just play, you know, we'll do it. And in the nighttime we do this event. Now, this is that. Learntoplay.live. If I didn't convince you now, I don't know what else will. But then again, if you made it this far into the video, you sir, remember, an absolute superstar. Thank you for watching. After this video, there's going to be a video chat, which you can access by going to patreon.com/NLLokitchen. You know what I mean? Very simple. There's a bit of a paywall, but you know, it's not much. It's just a coffee, right? Price of a coffee. And then you get to hang out in the Discord where we talk nerdy stuff about synthesizers. Like we didn't do that today already. Okay, thank you very much. My name is NLLokitchen. If you made it this far into the videos, you sir or ma'am are an absolute superstar. I'll catch you next week on another video. Talk about it. Tell somebody. You heard it here first. Peace. Next week.